Our family left California, bought 4 acres in Missouri for $53,000, and now we're turning it into a Catholic village. Let me show you what we're building. We have egg-laying hens, meat birds, dairy goats, and we're even getting our first cow. We're building 2 tiny cabins, converting our metal garage into a clubhouse and podcast studio, and we even plan to build a chapel on the property. We're also installing water tanks, solar panels, and digging swales for our future food forests. Currently, there are 3 families on the property: our parents, me and my fiance, and my brother. I'm gonna walk you through exactly what we've built, why we left the suburbs, and why I think every Catholic family needs to start moving towards this. The world is changing fast. We have AI, robots coming down the pipeline, inflation, war that doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. The divorce rate's at an all-time high. We're in a loneliness epidemic, a suicide crisis. And I think we're all feeling it as a society. We're feeling the burn, and we're wondering what the heck is going on. And the question is, how do you survive and thrive in the new world? How do you create an environment that is conducive to the virtuous life? How do you ensure that you have resources and abundance and wealth so that you can prosper? Those were the kinds of questions that we were asking ourselves as a family. And our conclusion was to get back to the land. Our family grew up in California. We lived in the suburbs our entire lives, the cookie cutter subdivision home. And around 2021, we started realizing the cost of living was absolutely crazy. There was traffic, crowds, the whole environment just wasn't aligned with the life we wanted. It also had this way of separating our family, this centrifugal force. I was going to school in Los Angeles. My brother was living in Northern California at the time. My parents each had separate jobs, which meant that they spent most of the day away from the house. We were just a regular family trying to get by. In 2023, our dad got a job offer in Missouri. Growing up in California, Missouri was always this bizarre state that you knew existed, but you never really expected to live there at all. If you would have told me I was going to live in Missouri, I would think you're crazy. But eventually, our family decided to leave California and move to the Midwest. In the beginning, we lived in an apartment. We had no land, we owned no assets there, and we were paying $2,000 a month just to live in what felt like a box. Fully consumerist, fully dependent on systems we didn't control, and it always felt kind of vulnerable. Things were fine on the outside, but in the back of our minds, we felt that we just weren't in a good position. Owning land and having a compound, having a ranch that we could call our own was always the dream. So one day, our family is sitting around the dinner table, and we decide to pray. We light a candle, we literally hold hands around the dinner table, and we say, "Father in heaven, we are ready for land. We are ready for a home here in Missouri. Send us a home." The rest of the story is the story of a miracle that took place in our family. The next day, we were at the county recorder's office, and we find an old lady. She hears us inquiring about this area that we wanted to buy land in, and she's like, "You want to get in? I'm trying to get out." And we're like, "What do you mean?" And we turn around and start talking. She's like, "Yeah, I'm selling my house." And we're like, "Wow, okay." She's like, "Do you want to come see it?" So the next day we go look at the house, and the house is run down and it's needs a lot of work. It's totally a fixer-upper. It's full of garbage. It smelled like crap. The land had potential, and the price was absolutely incredible. We ended up buying that property from her for $53,000. So we started with 2 acres, and we've since expanded to the other parcels around us, and we're now sitting at about 4 acres. Did I think we would become farmers? Absolutely not. In fact, I clearly remember Aaron telling me that we had to identify as farmers and being vehemently opposed to that. I was a city slicker, and I think growing up in California, going to school in Los Angeles, definitely made me more of that. I always wanted to travel a lot, and don't get me wrong, I still want to do that, but I think where we are in the world right now, being a farmer is the only winning strategy. It's you have to go all in on AI or you have to become a farmer. And for us, it's kind of doing both. So I never expected to be here, but more and more I'm realizing that not only is it necessary for where we are in history, it's also a very meaningful way to live. So this is my tiny home. We were in the market for a tiny home for a long time. We wanted an alternative way of living, especially as I'm about to get married here in the summer. But the tiny home market is so overpriced. Anything decent was $60,000 to $120,000. So we ended up just buying these barn cabins, and we're converting them ourselves. So right now we're doing all the electrical, the foundation. Soon we'll be doing insulation, walls, and the interior so that we can move in by summer. You can just take a peek in if you'd like. Though right now it's just full of tools and stuff. We've got all this space here. Up here's our loft where we'll have our bed. And this is all gonna be converted into our living room, you know, a little small wood fire stove. We are very, very happy with it. We'll keep you updated as we build more. Okay, so we are standing in Aaron's future tiny cabin. This is a little family compound. If you look that way, you can see my house just on the other side of the field. Let's go inside. His is a bit of a different layout, but same thing. We are currently doing electrical. We'll be doing insulation soon, putting up the walls. And Aaron's gonna have his own house here. And guess what? It's all paid off. We own these cabins. No one can take them from us. We're not renting them from a bank through a mortgage for the next 35 years of our life. Super spacious. You know, if you wanted to make this a tiny home, if you wanted to buy a tiny home this size, you would be paying upwards of $130,000 for anything close to this. But putting in some work yourself, you're gonna be able to save a lot of money and make it way cooler. So this is the second tiny home on the property. Eventually we hope to have more. We wanna have more lodging, more cabins, so that we can have guests. So maybe people from YouTube can come for one of our events. And also for our workers, we wanna have employees here on the land, ranch hands, etc., as we start to ride that agritourism wave as well. We all have that vision of being on a long dinner table with our closest friends and family. And this is where we're gonna be doing that. This area right here is gonna be converted to the heart of our property. We're gonna have nice lights. We're gonna have a beautiful long table and host a lot of gatherings here. You can imagine all the feasts of the liturgical calendar actually coming to life. You know, we live in a society where you're not able to celebrate these liturgical feasts to the way that we want. It's always, we're left wanting. Why? Because the way we've formed our society is almost antithetical to the Catholic life. It's like we have to swim upstream in order to be a virtuous, complete Catholic, really living out the full richness of our tradition. Whereas when you have the land, there's something intrinsic about it that it really fosters a rich Catholic life. So one of our visions is living out the feasts, celebrating the feasts, inviting people, and truly celebrating those rather than just, you know, letting them pass by every single year. So this is the first structure that we built on this property. It's our goat shed, our barn. You can see the chickens hanging out here. This will be converted into an outdoor kitchen. We're gonna be building a new barn and chicken coop on the new property that we acquired on the north side. And this is gonna be an outdoor kitchen. So what does that mean? It means a set of freezers here. We're gonna have a complete stainless steel kitchen, kind of like an industrial kitchen, where we can come here, cook meals, and then we're right next to that big dinner table that I shared previously. And it's pretty spacious here. The goats are living it up. Okay. So right here is our current chicken coop. This was just a shed that came with the property that we converted into a chicken coop in a pinch. We're building a new one up on the north lot, but here's what we have right now. Look at that. When the first time that I came into this coop and pulled out a dozen of eggs, my mind was expanded. I realized what was possible. I realized that this is what true wealth is. It's being able to come into your coop and pull out the best eggs that you could find. Money cannot buy better eggs. You can't find better eggs on the market. This is as good as it gets. My chickens roam around freely, and our family has not purchased eggs in over a year. Here we have about 25 Cornish cross meat birds that we're raising. These will soon move out of here because they're kind of getting big. This will be a second time raising these chickens. We're gonna stock our freezers full of meat. So this is the current chicken coop. Let's go outside and show you our clubhouse and future studio. So here we got a statue of the Virgin Mary. This is gonna be a little cave that we're gonna build with these stones here, just to showcase Mary. We also have a bird bath here. But this is a little microcosm of what we envision for this property. Eventually, this entire thing's gonna be covered in trees and a food forest, where you're gonna walk through it and you're underneath a canopy of trees. You walk and you pick berries, you pick pears, you pick peaches. This is where we're going. And we're going to have statues of the saints littered all throughout the property. We're gonna literally have a map when you come in so that you can know where to go to start the Stations of the Cross. And then we're gonna have a trail that you're gonna walk with different statues and icons so that this can be land plus the depth of our faith. So here's that first example of that vision. So right now I'm walking towards our steel shed. It's a metal shed that came with the property. And right now it's just storage, but eventually this becomes a clubhouse and media studio. We're going to have a complete setup here where Aaron and I can come and record content, record videos, host live webinars for you guys online. And over here, I'm even thinking like a nutrition bar, a gym, pull-up bar, a couch, that kind of thing. This is the clubhouse and future studio. As you're building your village, one of the things that you need to consider is that media is your moneymaker. This is a system, it's a way of structuring your life and in your compound such that it produces fruit for you. One said system is fruit trees. Obviously, fruit trees create fruit for you. But there's also other kinds of trees that you can plant, such as media systems, where you can create content very easily around your ranch. This is where you start to create brand and eventually you start tapping into things like agritourism, short-term rentals. You start to create identity and a following around your actual village. That's it for this place. Let's keep going. Now, why do I call this a village and not just a homestead? Because the village is how God wants us to live. He wants us to live like Noah. He wants us to live like Abraham. He wants us to have a multi-generational household. This is a stand against the secular, atomized, nuclear family that has bore such rotten fruit in the last couple of decades. Loneliness epidemic, suicide, mental health, divorce, obesity, the soil crisis, food crisis. Society splitting apart at the seams. The way we have lived has led us astray. It's time to return to how God wanted us to live, and the village is the answer. It's the solution to all the problems we're seeing. Name me one other solution that in one fell swoop solves our greatest challenges. Get your own land, produce it, steward it, cultivate it, and live on it with your friends and your family. Why do I say Catholic village and not just a village? Because when you integrate Catholicism and the land, you create a life of tremendous fruit. Our Catholic faith is not meant to be practiced in a vacuum. We have social teachings in the Catholic Church, and those social teachings, such as if you look at the encyclical Rerum Novarum, it calls us to get back to rural land. Why? Because the rural life preserves human dignity, and it is the defense against tyranny. The church is often depicted as a ship that moves through time. I argue here that you and your family need such a ship. You need an ark that is going to be your ground. It's going to be your source of provision, your source of wealth, your source of energy that unifies you and that helps you get through what's ahead. Make no mistake, we are at the precipice right now. Artificial intelligence is getting stronger and smarter at a rate that is terrifying. We have robotics coming down the pipeline. That's going to change the entire economy. We have inflation. We have probably the start of World War III with what we're seeing in Iran. The world is going to be very different in 5 years. Okay, we won't recognize it. Okay, this is the precipice, and it's time to get serious about how you and your family are going to survive and thrive in the coming times. The land is your ark. Get on your land. Start to cultivate it. Start to own your own resources, and you will be better positioned for what's to come. This is why we're calling our ranch Ark Ranch. So welcome to Ark Ranch. We hope that this video has been insightful for you guys.